Jovan Kirovski jogou em Portugal no Sporting, foi o primeiro americano a jogar na Liga Portuguesa, mas foi também o primeiro americano a jogar na Liga dos Campeões, a conquistar a Liga dos Campeões e a marcar um gol na Liga dos Campeões. Dear Jovan, good morning. So thank you for having us. A real pleasure to see you. You are a little bit different today, in a different role also. What can you tell you about your new life in Italy?
No, it's great. Yes, thank you. It's a pleasure to be on. Yes, I look much different. I'm a lot older, but I'm feeling good. All good, especially here in Milano, working hard in this new project. But yes, it's a pleasure to be on.
Mm-hmm. What can you tell us about your role in this fantastic new project with Milan Futuro? It's a real good commitment, I imagine.
Yes, it's a fantastic commitment by the club to really focus on the youth sector, to bridge the path from the academy to the first team. It's an extremely challenging project that we've been working on the last 3-4 months. I mean, it started very quickly and we built the team very quickly. So it's huge challenges, but very, very interesting for me and us here at the club to really develop and push our young players forward and try to get the most out of them and to have a clear pathway for them to reach the first team. It's a very fantastic project for our club.
A giant club, of course, we respect a lot. And are you working closely with Paulo Fonseca and Ibrahimovic, for example?
I mean, they're both heavily involved, especially with Zlatan, with the youth project, trying to push young players. We have a real emphasis on the youth sector right now. We have big investment as well, as you can see with Futuro. And yes, we are working in hand to try to push our young players forward. Obviously, it's a new project. We just started. We will see the results later, but everybody is on board to push the youth sector and the young players and really promote our young players to try to push them through.
Do you like this part of the business outside the field, not being a football player, but organizing everything? It's good for you?
Yes, it's obviously the best thing is playing, but the second best thing is kind of being involved. Again, I enjoy it. I love being involved in football. I've done my whole life. It's a bit different managing people, managing players. I've played around the world, different places. From when my time was in Germany, I was in England, I was in Portugal, and I enjoy using my experience to help young players because I was this young player. I left home at 16 years old to go to Manchester United. I was in Portugal when I was 20, 24, in Germany at 20. So I enjoy giving my experience, trying to help our young players because I understand where positions they're in, the good times, the bad times. So I use my experience to try to help them. And I enjoy doing this. I want to push them and use my experience to help them.
I made a lot of research about you yesterday, of course. And I know that you made a fantastic work in Galaxy. And one thing that pops up to me was, how do you build a relationship with Zlatan and convince him to go to United States? It was not easy, I imagine.
These kind of players, with Zlatan particularly, but there's many players like this that we at the Galaxy, when I was there, we were trying to recruit, trying to bring. And with Zlatan, it took a few years to try to build a relationship and try to convince and give him the idea of the project and what it is. And it takes time to try to do this. And at the moment, it worked well. Like everything aligned up. The moment for him was good. The moment from us was good. And it just happened naturally over time. But it took time. Yes, it took time.
I imagine. For us in Portugal, you were an American trailblazer. The first one to score a goal in the Champions League. The first one to become European champion. And the first one to play in Portugal. Do you miss those days, Jovan?
I mean, those days, I'm so busy that I don't miss anything. I don't have time to miss anything because I'm so busy. But those days I enjoyed. And it was a time where football in America was starting.
Yeah.
And now you see the difference. Now we have many players in Europe, many fantastic players. We have one here, Christian Pulisic is
amazing.
Again, he won Champions League. He's playing in Champions. He's doing things that nobody has in America has done. He's really, really pushed our sport in our country forward. And I think me being one of the early ones kind of helped promote this for the young players. And for me, it was fantastic to be. It was a huge challenge and it was difficult, but it was amazing to be part of Sporting, a fantastic club in Dortmund and Manchester United and the clubs in Europe where I was. It was difficult. It was a challenge, but I think it opened a lot of doors for the young players, American players today.
Jovan, I loved the World Cup of '94. At the time, you were already in England playing.
Yes, in '94, I was in England. Yes, Manchester United at the time. Yes.
Do you have any memory about that World Cup of '94?
Yes, the World Cup. Actually, no. '94. I went. Yes, I was 2 years in England at the time. Yes, that's correct. So in '94, I remember because I was back in the summer. I was young. I went to the games. I went to some matches at the Rose Bowl. 100,000 people. I remember the games with the U.S. and Colombia, with also Romania, U.S. I went to some games and it was an amazing experience. Great for the sport and the growth of the sport in the country, because off of that we built MLS, which is the new league. So it really propelled the sport in the United States. And you see now the sport is booming, the sport is growing, the sport is at a good level, and it's still growing.
30 years after that, everything is different in the American soccer.
Yes, definitely. It's changed completely, particularly the last 5 or 6 years. It's grown a lot more with Messi, with stars coming, with young players actually going there to develop. MLS is also selling players to Europe. It's becoming a league where you can grow and be sold to bigger and better things, but also you can make a really good career at a very good level. And the interest is becoming much stronger as well. So it's a booming market for the sport. And obviously it's grown so much and it has so much more to grow, but it's really developing well.
I was in New York in September with my wife 1 week, enjoying the city. And for the first time, I was speaking with American people, and I understood that they were with some information about Portuguese football and European football. It was a surprise for me, not for you, I imagine.
Yeah, no, but it's becoming more interest. More people are understanding the sport. They're understanding the game. Definitely more than in the last 10 years, and it still continues to grow. The younger people are getting involved. So it's really exciting to have the World Cup, because again, I think it'll take another step forward, I hope.
Jovan, how did you end up at United with only 16 years old? I was curious about that.
So when I was young with the youth national teams, I was on a trip to England. We had a tour. We played a few teams. We played Liverpool, Manchester United, Coventry, a bunch of teams, and a scout approached me, invited me to come in the summer. And I went there for 2 weeks, and Manchester United, they wanted me to stay, and I ended up staying. It was a fantastic place to learn the game, to play football. In my time, we had fantastic young players with Beckham, Scholes, Nicky Butt, Gary Neville, and Phil Neville. So it was an amazing moment for me to get a good football education at one of the biggest clubs in the world. So it was an amazing experience for me.
You were part of the famous class of '92, so it was a privilege for you, I imagine.
It was a privilege and a great experience to learn football in a club that was, especially with somebody like Alex Ferguson. I take a lot of things that I do today from what I learned as a young man in Manchester United. Like the way we grew up, the character is important, the way we were taught, the way we learned. I take that with me everywhere I go, because I'm doing the same thing here. I think it's very important.
For coincidence, the new coach of United is a Portuguese guy, Ruben Amorim.
Yes.
I don't know if you have any information about Ruben. And Milan, a Portuguese coach also. What is the secret, in your opinion, for this success of the Portuguese managers?
Well, first of all, the football they grew up with, and from Sporting to Benfica to Porto, I think football is always a passion and always massive in Portugal. I think their approach to the game is probably a little bit different. They think about the game a little bit different. And obviously the mentality that they have in the work is a little bit different and is unique. And they've been successful. Portuguese people have been successful as football coaches for years. So I think there's a lot of things that come together that make them very good coaches.
For a small country, it's a surprise, I imagine.
But for a small country, you guys also produce a lot of good football players.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I enjoyed my time there. I loved living there. I wish I could have stayed longer. But football is massive in Portugal, and yes, there's a lot of players, coaches that come out of Portugal, and even the academies. I take a lot of ideas also because Sporting, Benfica, they produce a lot of players, and it's definitely to learn. I'm very open to learning and seeing different ideas and different things, which is important.
Before Sporting, you were in Germany, in Dortmund, a great club also. You were European champion, Jovan. You were very young at that age. What are your memories about that period?
I mean, I was a very young player. I was 20 years old, and we had a very older team with very experienced players, superstar players.
Yes.
I can name Mateo Sammer, Kohler, Julio Cesar, Paulo Sousa, one of your Portuguese, and he was what an amazing player he was. And it was, again, a fantastic experience for such a young player. Being an American, being part of this was amazing. And the most important thing is that it gave me so much experience, and I learned so much that I can do my job today that I do. From all my experiences, whether Manchester United, Dortmund, even in Lisbon when I was there, I was Crystal Palace. I take all the things from all the different places, and it helps me in my job today with all the experience that I've gained over the years. But this was unique. To win the Champions League, to be part of this team was a very, very cool moment for me.
Your career was amazing in Europe, United, Dortmund, and then Sporting. So why Sporting in that time, in summer of 2000, I think?
I think it's in Sporting. It was a good opportunity at the time. It was in Dortmund. I wasn't playing as much as I would like. I was a young player. I thought the opportunity there. It came. It was a really good team at the time. Sporting as well. It was a very strong team, and I couldn't. It was the style of football also suited my style a little bit different, the Portuguese way of playing, and I thought it was a fantastic opportunity for me. Although difficult challenge to try to play for a young player, I couldn't turn it down because the opportunity to go to a club like that, it's very difficult to turn down. And it was, again, a good experience. Although we had challenges, it was still a good experience for me.
The coach was first Inácio, then the late Manuel Fernandes. He passed away, unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago. It was hard for you to adapt to his ideas, very different from the previous ones?
Sorry, what was the question? Sorry?
Was it hard for you to adapt to his ideas of Inácio and Fernandes?
It was not hard to adapt. It was just when you go to a new club, you're in a different place. And we had many managers. We had 2 or 3 in one season because, again, winning is important. And winning, you have to win. The pressure is in Portugal, in the clubs that I've been at, whether Manchester United, even Borussia Dortmund at the time, Sporting, and even Milan here, winning is very important.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of change and a lot of turnover. So when things are changing, it's not so easy for a player.
Jovan, here in ZEROZERO, we have the largest sports database in the world. And we discover some information about you in Portugal. And this one is very funny because in the 11th of November of 2000, in a game between Estrela da Amadora and Sporting, you and Paulo Fonseca were in the same stadium, but both of you were in used subs. You were on the bench of your teams.
Really?
Paulo Fonseca for Estrela and you for Sporting. Estrela 1, Sporting 2.
Okay. I didn't tell him that. I don't remember this. This is where I got hit in the head too many times to remember everything. But, okay, good. I'm going to see him. I'm going to tell him today.
That's a good one. This one.
Very good one. I didn't know that. Okay, cool. Perfect.
Paulo was a central defender at the time.
Yes, I know. But I didn't know that we played. I kind of thought we crossed paths.
Yes.
But I didn't know this. It's good. I like this information. It's good information.
It was in the 11th day of November of 2000.
Perfect. Perfect. I will remember this. I will
Jovan,
remember this.
and about your life, social life in Portugal, it was good for your family, for you. You enjoyed the country.
Yeah, so fantastic. The people are amazing. The people really welcomed me. I felt at home. It was coming from, again, different places, from England, from Germany. The Portuguese people and the different cultures, I mean, they're different. And the way I grew up, my parents are from Macedonia.
Yep.
The cultures kind of were similar to the Portuguese in the way the people were friendly, open, and it was a very good place and a nice place for me and my family to enjoy. Yes, to live. Fantastic.
Were
I
your
was in Cascais. I remember I was in
Cascais?
Cascais. Yes, and I haven't been back to Lisbon in such a long time. I would like to come back and see, because I think everything has probably changed a lot. But we really enjoyed our time there.
I'm based in Porto, but Lisbon is a beautiful city, as you know. A lot of tourists nowadays. Even in Porto, we have a lot of tourism. But I think it's a cheap country to visit for Italian people. You don't have so much money as Italian people, so it's very good for you. For you, not Italian, but American. Jovan, and who were your closest friends in the locker room of that Sporting?
In the locker room at Sporting, in the beginning, I was more with the foreign players that arrived. Let's say Peter Schmeichel was there, Phil Babb was there. And when I first arrived, they were easy to speak to. But afterwards, everybody was quite good to me. All the players, we had a bunch older players that were, whether it was João Pinto was more quiet. I think he was older. I was more in awe of them because I was such a young player. The Pedro Barbosa was the winger and I actually have spoken to him in the last years, because he was in the world of football. You know, things are small and you meet many people.
Sure.
So there was many people that I was very social with, but the ones at the beginning were the foreigners. But then the Portuguese, I mean, I was open to everybody. So it was a good locker room, let's say.
Peter Schmeichel was quite a character. I don't know if you crossed his path in United before. No.
Yes. I was a young player, and I knew him from there, and then that's what made it easier too. Also in Lisbon, in Sporting.
What about the stadium? Do you have any memories of Alvalade Stadium, the former Alvalade Stadium?
Yes, I remember. I remember going in there all the days for training, and then the games. It was old, historic, but it's gone now. The new stadium. I haven't been to the new stadium.
Really? You have to.
No, I haven't been. I need to come. I will make a point to come visit. I want to visit the club. I want to see the match. I want to visit the academy, and just to go see how they work. I will come in the next weeks. I will definitely come.
Just one last question about Portugal. Did you feel at the time the rivalry between Sporting, Benfica, and Porto? I don't know if in Italy you feel the same rivalry between Milan, Juventus, and the other big clubs. It's similar.
Yes, it's similar. You see it, but I think here in Milan, it's a bit more. It's very similar though compared to Portugal, but here I think it's even a bit more. The rivalry, let's say with Milan Inter, I think it's a little bit more, but at the same kind of passion, because I think the Portuguese and Italian have a different kind of passion, let's say, than the Germans, and even the English, actually, the passion and the way they are, it's very similar.
Jovan, we are preparing the World Cup already. So this conversation is important for us also to get your feedback about your country and the football in your country. So what are your expectations about the tournament?
For the US team?
For the US team and the World Cup also.
I think the World Cup is a huge opportunity for the sport in the US to grow a step further. I think for the team, we have a very good team that have a lot of players playing in some of the top clubs in Europe, which we've never had before.
Yes.
I think being at home, it's a big advantage. I think it's a very, very good moment, an interesting moment where we have every chance to succeed and go quite far. Obviously, it depends on the group, the circumstances, and luck at times. But I think this is one of the best group of young players that are playing at the highest level consistently that will help our team be strong in the World Cup. I don't know how far they'll go, but I think they have a good chance to go quite far.
16 cities, 3 countries, 48 teams. It's really ambitious, Jovan.
It's getting bigger and bigger. There's more games, more teams, so it's not so easy. But I think our team will go far. I think our team will do well because of what I said earlier with the players. But again, our country, the US, is able to host a tournament like this. I think we have amazing stadiums. We have fantastic resources to put on a good show for everybody. I think we've done it in the past where we had Copa America as well as the World Cup. I think it'll be a fantastic show for everybody, the World Cup in the US.
You are a guy from California, Escondido. I think it was your first city. How is the weather in California during that period? Very hard for the European people to adjust?
I think in California, it's the weather's perfect. I mean, in the summer, it's warm, but not super hot. In some places on the East Coast, it does get quite warm, quite hot. But I think nothing so crazy where the players are going to have a super tough time where they maybe in different countries, whether you were in Brazil or in the World Cups at the time. I don't know if there were, no, in Brazil, it's winter there, right? Or when it was in Asia, I think they had tougher times in Asia where it gets hot. No, I think the weather's not so crazy that it's going to make it so difficult for the players.
Jovan, just 2 more questions and we are ready to go. In Portugal, we don't receive so many American players. I remember, of course, you, and then Freddie Adu, Zach Thornton, Augusti in Sporting also, the central back. Do you keep in touch with those guys?
I think one was Gucci Onyewu. He still works in the U.S. soccer. I've crossed paths with him. Zach Thornton, sometimes when I was working in the US, I crossed paths. The football world is small, so in football you're everywhere. But now that I'm in Europe, I'm so busy here now working, but I see a lot of the players that I played with, again, from Manchester United to Dortmund. I was in Crystal Palace, Sporting. I played in a lot of different places where people are working in football, so I have a lot of connections here with all of those people.
Last question, Jovan. Do you consider Portugal a good place for a young American player to come to?
Of course, I think in Portugal the football is good for an American come because it's different. It's a good place to start. It's a good place to develop.
Yes.
Just because the football, the way we play and the way the Portuguese play football is a very interesting place for a young American player, a chance to grow and to develop, and then even whether to play in Benfica or Sporting or Porto, you can play forever, or you can move on to different places. So it's a fantastic place to learn and develop football, but also for the life. It's amazing. For me, it was amazing. The people, the weather, it was like similar to California. So that's why I think I enjoyed it so much. And you guys are by the water. And you guys, yes, it's and you guys also have good food too. The Italians are a little bit better with the food though.
I love Italian food. And we are receiving a lot of Californian people in Portugal in the last 2 or 3 years. I don't know why, but they are coming to Portugal.
Okay, nice. But it's similar weather. It's a beautiful place, Portugal. I really enjoyed my time. I really enjoyed it. And I hope to be back there soon.
Any good story about you in Portugal from that season that you like to tell to your friends?
Stories. I just remember how windy it was in Guincho.
Guincho.
Oh my God, it's so windy.
That's true.
But I enjoyed my time. I enjoyed Sporting. I enjoyed being in such a fantastic team again with a lot of top players in the world at the time. It was a great learning experience, a great place to be, a fantastic club. Sporting is still a strong place. I always follow. So it was an amazing experience and I really enjoyed it.
Jovan, thank you so much. You are a gentleman. Thank you for this conversation. I hope you have enjoyed these 30 minutes. And I really like to see you in the World Cup of 26. I hope I'll be there and maybe meet you.
Perfect. Yes. Really, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure, and anytime. And yes, just let me know and we can meet. No problem.
Jovan, all the best for you. Thank you, Ilaria. Also, it was a real pleasure to have you here.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye
Thank you,
bye.
my friend.